What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We have a two-game slate to dive into for Friday, June 13th. So we're going to break down and analyze each of those games. Talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points in the spread, and we're also going to go over any player props that I found in those games that I like. And then any plays that I put in officially myself, make sure you check down there into the pinned comment. You're going to find a link that will send you over to the Guy Boss Sports website. That's where all of my final plays are going to live for free. But before we dive into Friday's action, let's go ahead and jump over there to the Guy Boston Sports website. That way we can take a look back at Wednesday's video, what we took and how that ended up going down. And it's another one of those where it's gone better, but it's also gone worse, man, right? We go 2-2 on the night. It's another 500 night here in the W. Here's what's crazy to me, though, man, is I have kind of struggled with the player props to start off the season. Not kind of. I've struggled with the player props to start off the season. Much like last season, man, and then we picked it up heading into the postseason. So I'm not like sweating that, but funny here looking at it because we go 2-0 on our player props, and I feel like I've done pretty well on the side this season so far. Done pretty decent on the totals as well. 0-2 in that respect, right? So, like I said, 2-2 on the night. We are still in the green, just barely hanging on there, right? We look to stack up on those units, but we are sitting at 54.49 overall as of the 12th of June to open up this WNBA season. So those units are lower too because we've been playing everything at such smaller sizes, right? Quarter unit plays for the most part, half unit plays here and there as well. And we look to, we'll raise those up. With the data piling in, we're almost a month into the season now, so definitely look to raise those up. But I'm gonna stay a little more conservative until we can stack up some winning nights on top of each other, right? We'll have a good night, and then we'll have a few meh nights. These 500 nights, right? Um, Good night, meh. But the problem is like anytime I start building these units up, and we get about a unit and a half or so, then we have a bad night where we give that unit and a half right back to Vegas, and we've just kind of been in that cycle for this first month of the season, man. So let's go ahead and get into it today, guys. Let's go ahead and quit rambling on about the past and look into the future here and see what kind of value we can find here on these games for Friday night. In the first game, I'm going to be looking at Chicago Sky taking on the Atlanta Dream. Dream opened up as 9.5 point favorites. That is now up to 12. That total is moving as well. Lines are moving for both of these games as far as the total and the side, and I agree with all the movement, man. We're going to jump into that, but that total opened up at 159.5. I saw it get down to 157.5. It is now at 158.5. Got a 7:30 p.m. tip-off time for this one. Let's go ahead and jump over to Outlier. I want to use Outlier to kind of break this down a little bit. First thing, let's go ahead and look at this money line. Now, obviously, we're not going to be looking to play this unless we're getting crazy and we're trying to play the Sky at plus 550. But full disclosure, guys, I'm not. Atlanta sitting at minus 625. Definitely not looking to play it that way, but we can kind of use that to look at this data real quick. We see the Dream are winning at a 67% rate this year, Chicago at a 25% rate, right? Look at them at a home and away split. Atlanta sitting at a 75% win rate. Chicago on the road only hitting at a 20% rate. Won one game out of five on the road. Opposite for Atlanta, they've won three of their four. Now, one thing I do want to note, man, you got to take into consideration the Dream started off 1-2, right? Since then, they are 5-1 in their last six. And those two losses at the beginning of the year were by 4 and 5 points, right? A 4 point loss there to the Mystics on the road to open up the season. I'm gonna be real with you. I think that they were caught off guard. Everybody viewed Washington as a rebuilding team, and Washington came out the gates with all their youngins like, "No, we're here to ball, man." Obviously they're still in a rebuild, but I think they're a little bit more competent than people were expecting this season. And then the Fever down here, obviously, after losing to the Dream by one, was in a bounce back spot. Then they win by 5 points there. But like I said, since then, 5-1. And then you flip over here to Chicago, and you can see, man, besides their little two-game winning streak here against the Dallas Wings, it's been a lot of L's, right? We get you right back here to losing by what's that, 27 to Indiana, and then 19 in New York to the Liberty. So Chicago back to their getting blown out ways, right? We can go ahead and look at that spread. Like I said, it opened up at 9.5, now sitting at 12. Actually opened up at 8.5, excuse me. And that's actually where I caught it, was 8.5. Well, it was 9.5, and I went ahead and bought a point, got it at minus 130. I'm glad I did, man. You can see, like I said, it's ballooned up to 12 points already. And I get it, man. I don't think that Chicago really has a chance here against this Atlanta team. And it's, you look down here, you can see that the Dream have really, just for the course of the season, they have only covered a 12-point spread. They've only covered this number specifically in 2 games, right? But the Sky on their end, they've only catching 12 points, they've only covered at a 38% rate on the season. Then Atlanta at home has just been a different beast, right? They're covering this line at a 50% rate. They have covered this 12-point spread in their last 2 at home. If we scroll over here to the right, we can see the injury report for both squads. We got Mariah Jefferson. She is still waiting to make her season debut, a guard in the backcourt there for Chicago. And they need it, man. She's going to be out for this one as well. They definitely need it. Like I said, Courtney Vandersloot out for the year with that ACL, so the backcourt getting a little thin over there in Chicago. Let's look at how these two teams are matching up. Right, you can see the Sky sitting at 2-6 overall. They are 3-5 to the number. Atlanta is 6-3, both straight up and against the spread. We look at these two teams, though, right? Look at the Sky on offense, 13th for effective field goal percentage. You look at Atlanta's defense; they're sitting at 5th. You scroll on down, look at points. Chicago second to last, only putting up 76 points per game. Atlanta's only giving up 78, right? That is 5th in the W. Here's the kicker. Chicago's first for offensive rebound percentage, and we know that Angel Reese leads the charge there. Um, it's not going to matter against Atlanta, though. They are first in terms of offensive rebounding percentage allowed to the opposition. You scroll on down and look at them. They are the top rebounding team in the W, sitting at first there as well, man. And then we can flip on over. Let's look at that Chicago defense going up against this Atlanta offense. It's going to spell a lot of troubles, in my opinion, man. You got the Sky sitting at dead last for points per game at 89.5 that they're allowing to that opposition, right? Atlanta sitting at 4th in terms of points scored per game. Atlanta's done a lot of things well on the offensive end. And, like I said, 5-1 in their last 6 games, right? In their last 6 games specifically, they are sitting at 3rd for offensive rating. They are sitting at 2nd for defensive rating. They are sitting at 2nd for overall net rating, right? Chicago is 11th for net rating, 11th for defensive rating, 9th for offensive rating. And like I said, man, you can just kind of see it scrolling on down the numbers right on both sides. You see a lot more of Chicago sitting in the bottom 3, both offensively and defensively, man. A lot of 11, 12s, and 13s over there sitting at the bottom 3 in so many different categories. Just not the case for Atlanta. I like the dream on this side here. There's a lot of different ways that we could look at this here with that line increasing the way it is, with it moving up, and it's probably going to keep moving up, man, because I think that they blow Chicago out. Personally, I don't see how the Sky team can, one, get points up to generate enough points to stay in this one against this Atlanta defense, and for two, can generate enough defense on their end to stop this Atlanta offense that is light years better than the Atlanta offense that we saw from last year's squad, right? But, I had it in my notes here that, 9.5 felt like a lot of points to lay. That's why I wanted to buy a point down just to be safe. I caught it at 8.5. Um, 12, starts to get a little more like, all right, that line's moving up. But like I said, I really do think that Atlanta rolls here, and they have the Sky's number in this game, man. Chicago has failed to cover in games this season as a dog of 8 points or more at any point this season. And then a thing to look at here, Atlanta has been very efficient with the ball, very efficient. They give up the second fewest turnovers per game, while the Sky it's complete opposite. They're dead last, man, coughing up the ball the most times per game this season. The question is going to be, is Atlanta going to take advantage of those turnovers, right? Despite their stellar defense, despite sitting at 2nd in the W for blocks per game, they aren't really generating a ton of steals, only the second fewest across the league. They sit at dead last for points scored off of turnovers because they're not really getting many steals, right? They're not getting out in transition. They're just the middle of the pack, 7th in terms of scoring points in transition. But a bigger thing here, in my opinion, is the fact that Atlanta has been great on the glass this year. Great. Like I said, tops in the league. And obviously, this is an area that Chicago usually has the edge over most opponents that they're coming in to play against, right? I don't know if that's going to be the case here against the Dream, though, man. The Dream sit at first overall for rebounds per game, 4th for offensive rebounds, which has led to them scoring the second most second chance points this year. So, like I said, I already took Atlanta, got them -8.5. I think that you could look at them on the first quarter or the first half spread as well, though, if those 12 points are kind of scaring you off. I just think ultimately, no matter how you look at this game, as long as you're looking at it from the Atlanta side, you're looking at the right side, man. I don't see the Sky standing a chance here in this one. Then looking at the total, you have the Sky wanting to push the tempo. They are sitting at 2nd for pace. But the Dream are going to look to muck the game up, man, right? They're going to slow things down. They're going to make you play at their speed. They're running at the 3rd slowest pace this season. And they're at home, and I think that factors into it, right? The line opened up at 160.5. That's moving down, and I do agree with that. Like I said, Chicago has hit under this number their last 2 games, and while Atlanta has gone over this line in 3 of their last 4, those 3 were on the road. At home this year, they have gone under this number 4 out of the 4 times that they have played in Atlanta. So I'll lean under here, but this could also be a spot to just kind of look at the sky, right? Look at their team total under because I think that we see them really struggle to get points up here against this Atlanta defense. And I'm not convinced that Atlanta doesn't just dominate them and throw just enough points up to get us up and over this mark here. So Sky team total under may be the better route, but only play that I'm on so far as the side or the total myself personally is the Dream laying 8.5. There's a couple props in this game that caught my eye. I actually took Ariel Atkins earlier today. I found her assist under 3.5 at minus 145 on Caesars. And we scroll over here, you can see that that is gone, right? This is only a play on underdog now. You can get that at plus money, plus 120 over there at Bet365 if we want to look at her under 2.5. But the data, man, we see it starts getting a little more red up here, right? Only hitting at a 50% rate on the season. A little more risky. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it from that 3.5. That's where I put it in at. Like I said, I'm sorry that that play or this line is not available for you guys anymore. But if you are on underdog, I do think that this would be a good piece to throw in on that one. She's hitting this at a 8 or 75% rate on the season. You can see 80% in her last 5. You just keep pushing it back. 80% in her last 5, in her last 10, in her last 20, and then 75% head to head against the Dream. She has gone underneath this line as well. Look at this insight from Outlier. She has failed to exceed that 3.5 assist mark actually in 11 of her last 13 games. So definitely trending in that direction. And then if we look at Atlanta on the defensive end, sitting at third overall for assists, specifically against that guard position, it's not like it's going to get much better there for Chicago. Only jumps up to fourth. So I like this one. Like I said, I just don't like that it's juicing that minus 145 at Caesars that I caught earlier disappeared. But definitely still wanted to bring it up for you that are on underdog because I do think that this is a good piece here. And then I'd also be looking at Alicia Gray, her points and assists over 20.5. And we can see that she has hit this at an 80% rate in her last 10 games. Definitely like to see that. 78% on the season so far, 7 out of 9. Now, here's the thing about Alicia, man. She has been on fire. Come on down here and you can see 51% on the year as far as field goal shooting percentage, 41% from 3. If we click on into that, man, look at these numbers. 50% here, right? 33%, 31%, 53, 55, 88, 53. Then you got your other 38 here and a 69% right, shooting the lights out. She is having a great season to start off the year. Looking over here at Chicago, they were sitting at 13th, dead last in terms of points allowed to the opposition, 11th for assists. And it just gets a little bit better when we look at them specifically against the guard position. We just move up one, right? 12th for points allowed, 10th for assists allowed. So it's another one that this line is actually sitting at 21.5. I actually caught this one earlier today as well, over 20.5. I got it on FanDuel for minus 120. You can still get it at DraftKings though at minus 135. Then next up, going to be looking at the Dallas Wings taking on the Las Vegas Aces. Ton of line movement in this one, man. Ton of line movement, right? Aces open up as 11-point favorites. That has now been cut in half. They are now sitting at 5.5-point favorites. Total sitting at 168.5. That thing opened up at 166.5, worked its way all the way up to 170.5, and now we're seeing it come back down just a little bit. Like I said, settling at 168.5 currently. These lines are moving, man. Make sure that you guys check these before you throw any plays in on these games today. 10 p.m. tip-off time for this one, and I just got to start off by saying, man, oh man, these aces, right? Whew, man. They'll be home for the second game of a 3-game homestand. They are 4-4 straight up, 3-5 to the number. They're going to come into this one on a 2-game losing streak after getting blown out by the Valkyries, and then following that up by a beaten at home, by the Sparks. I wouldn't call it a beating, but they got beat by 8 points to a Sparks team that had only won 3 of their first 10 to open the year. Oh, man, this Vegas team is a mess. And then Asia Wilson left in the third quarter of this one with a head injury. She did not return. She's listed as questionable here as a game time decision. The fact that she did not come back and then she was listed on the injury report this early, it's not a last second thing. She's already on there with a head injury as well. Now we've seen this line get cut in half. She ain't playing, guys. She ain't playing. There's no way, man. You can't convince me that she is. Everything is pointing towards that. So I'm gonna look at this like she is going to be out in this one. Um, and we've had Coach Hammond call out both heart and effort from these aces, and you can't blame her, man. As disappointing as that is, to hear a coach say about a professional team, a team that has won championships, right? Look, I question the depth of this team coming into this season because they are very top heavy. They're very, very reliant on Asia Wilson. You got Jackie Young and you got Chelsea Gray out there. They are both great talents. They have also both been wildly inconsistent this season. And then I've been saying since last season, multiple times this season, I've caught flack for it. But it reigns true, man. You can't tell me otherwise. Joy Lloyd is pretty overrated for where she is at this point of her career. And that's not taking away anything that she's done, anything she's accomplished. It's just saying that right now, at this stage of her career, man, pretty overrated in my opinion. And definitely on the decline. You know, that it started last season, those numbers were dipping. And you look at her now this year, there's no other way to cut it, man. There's no other way to put it. She's at the tail end of her career. She's in the decline mode. She's overrated, man. It's just is what it is. You look at the rest of that Vegas roster, man, they have serviceable role players, but like I said, they aren't extremely deep. And most importantly, they aren't playing as a team really whatsoever. So how were they even double digit favorites here to begin with? Right? You know, when that line opened up, even if Asia was going to play, Asia was playing in all those games, right? Well, simply put, the Wings. That's why the Wings. Dallas is just 1-10 to open up the year. They are 3-8 against the spread. And despite not only getting Paige Beckers back in their last game, but getting 35 points on 13 of 19 shooting, 5 of 7 shooting from deep from her, the Wings still fell by 13 to Phoenix, right? When you take Paige out of the equation in that game, the rest of the Wings shot just 16 of 48 for just 33% shooting from the field. That's not going to get it done, especially when you don't play any defense on the other end yourself. Dallas has only held Seattle in the opener under 80 points this season. That's it. Everyone else has eclipsed that mark. Teams are putting up on average 88 points per game against the Wings. That is the third most in the W. I'll just be honest with you, just like the last Aces game that we talked about, this is not one that I want to play whatsoever. I don't want anything to do with any Las Vegas Aces games for the time being indefinitely. You know what I mean? Like, Vegas has to show me and they have to show me consistently. If that line was still sitting up, 9.5, 10.5, 11.5, I would be crushing the Dallas side. Kind of kicking myself that I didn't take it earlier, but it's Dallas. End of the day, still, you know what I mean. So that just is another reason to just kind of stay off this one altogether because it's not like neither of these teams can be trusted, right? Just the thing is, with Asia being questionable, there's no way that I can get to Vegas here. I can't. I don't think she's going to play. Like I said, I'd be very surprised if she does. I'd be very surprised. With the way that the line has shifted, with the way that the injury report has came out, and with the injury that we're looking at here, I'd be very, very surprised if she plays. So with that said, Vegas was a mess with her on the court, right? One of, if not the best player in women's basketball. They're a mess with her on the court. So you take her out, and now you want me to lay points with this team. And I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I don't care if they're coming off two, embarrassing losses, and this is a bounce back spot. The last game was supposed to be a bounce back spot. So I can't get with it, man. I'm not with it at all. I guess I would lean Dallas, but like I said, man, at 5.5, I'm not sure that I can get there with Dallas either. Then looking at that total, guys, we can see Dallas has hit over this mark at a 55% rate this season. 5 of their last 7 games, they have gone up and over this 168.5 mark. Looking at the Aces, they have gone up and over that mark 3 of their last 5 for a 50% hit rate this season. Head to head, these two have crushed this line, right? For their last 4 games, these were all last season, but all 4 of those games went well up and over that 168.5. Lowest total that we saw these two land at was 176. So I would lean over for this one. The Aces are also hitting at home at a 67% rate. Their last 2 games did go up and over this mark at the house. So I like this over here. I think if I was going to look at anything in this game, that's probably where I would begin. Would just be looking at the total because I don't trust either of these defenses, and I know that they're going to want to get out there. They're going to want to push the pace, and they're going to want to run. There's going to be a lot of opportunities to score, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense played. So uh, like I said, if I was going to look any kind of way, this is where it'd be. But I don't know that I get anywhere with this game, guys. Just being honest, I like the plays that we have on the Dream, and the Sky much more than I like anything about this game here. With that said, I don't see any player props in this game either that I got my eyes on really. So that's gonna wrap it up, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the content today. I hope you found it helpful and useful. And if you did, please do not forget to smash that like button on your way out and hit subscribe if you have not already. And that's gonna do it. Hope you guys all have a great night. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you back tomorrow for the next one.